Ibrahim Traore, Ibrahim Traore, the people changing it, yeah. The streets of Waka, your name is loud. Ibrahim Traore, standing tall and proud. You carry the hope, you fight for the land. Ibrahim Traore, with a strong guiding hand. The winds of change are blowing strong. Ibrahim Traore, we've waited so long.
Welcome folks to Chockatable Media. Here is a breaking news. French espionage agent busted in Burkina Faso. A spy behind an NGO in Burkina Faso, by name Dubois, a French woman in her early 30s, arrived in Burkina Faso, posing as the director of a Western NGO called Hope Forward, which claimed to support girls' education and women's health. She posed as a humanitarian focused on helping African women, visiting villages, schools and markets, and praising Burkina Faso's leadership on state television. However, behind this facade, Dubois was engaged in espionage. She was gathering intelligence on military sites, including military training centers, oil facilities and drone monitoring posts, under the guise of humanitarian work. She had 2 phones, one for public use and one for secure communication, and she sent encrypted emails containing detailed maps and satellite images of sensitive military locations to contacts linked to NATO and foreign intelligence. Burkina Faso's intelligence services flagged her activities and monitored her communications. President Ibrahim Traore allowed her to continue to gather evidence of her true mission. Eventually, she was publicly exposed at the National Conference on African Sovereignty, where the president presented her own classified documents and emails live on stage, revealing her spying activities to the world. There are diplomatic pressures for a quiet resolution, but President Ibrahim Traore has insisted on transparency and justice, emphasizing the betrayal of trust involved. Let's hear more from the part 1 of the saga. Please subscribe, share and like.
She came smiling, with flowers in one hand and a speech in the other. She said she wanted to help African women. She took photos with babies, walked through villages, praised Traore on camera. But behind the kindness was a secret job. And when the truth came out, she didn't just lose her fake charity. She cried as the whole world watched her get exposed. Her name was Dubois, a young blonde woman in her early 30s, French accent, expensive sunglasses, calm voice. She arrived in Ouagadougou as the director of a Western NGO called Hope Forward, claiming to support girls' education and women's health. She gave interviews on state TV, praising President Ibrahim Traore for giving African youth the courage to dream. She visited schools, took selfies with market women, donated boxes of books and solar lamps. It's not about politics, she said. It's about people. But she wasn't here for just people. She wasn't even based in Burkina Faso. Her real base was in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, and her real job was much darker. While she toured rural villages by day, her nights were filled with encrypted phone calls and quiet messages to unknown contacts. She always traveled with a media officer, a tall man who never gave his name. She carried 2 phones, one public, one for security. She often asked odd questions. How far is the nearest military base? How often do soldiers change shifts in these areas? Has Burkina Faso received any drones recently? At first, no one questioned her. She was polite, clean, fluent in French. She gave out free things. But something felt strange. One woman in a small village whispered to a local leader, "She's not here to help us. She's here to find something." Meanwhile, Burkinabe intelligence had already flagged her. They knew her NGO's name was tied to a strategic monitoring program funded by an American foundation. They knew her emails were being routed through a French IP address, with code names like Phase Orange and T-Access Zone. Still, President Traore said, "Let her work. The more she believes she's winning, the clearer her mission will become." So she kept smiling. She kept giving speeches. And she had no idea that her biggest donation was about to be her own downfall. By her third week in Burkina Faso, Claire Dubois was everywhere. She'd shaken hands with ministers, she'd been on state radio, and she even took a photo with schoolgirls, holding up a sign that said, "Africa first, women always." But behind the smiles, her real work had begun. She had visited 9 villages in 7 days, each near military training grounds, oil depots, or drone watchtowers. She said she was inspecting field progress. But what she was really doing was making a map. One night, in her hotel room in Ouagadougou, she opened her laptop and began marking red circles across the country. She named the file BF-Field Access-V2. The circles weren't schools. They were military routes, border patrol bases, and drone delivery lines. That same night, she attached the map to an encrypted email, addressed to a contact saved under the name Melvin. The server wasn't in France. It wasn't in the US. It was traced to a NATO-linked office in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. She hit send. She smiled. She thought no one had seen. But what she didn't know was that her laptop had already been mirrored. Everything she typed was being read in real time by Burkinabe intelligence. The moment she hit send, President Ibrahim Traore received a copy of the email on his encrypted line. He looked at the map. He studied the code names. Then he picked up the phone and said, "Let her keep going." She just confirmed everything we suspected. The next morning, Claire held a press breakfast with foreign journalists. She wore white. She called Burkina Faso a rising hope in the region. But when a local reporter asked her why her NGO was only working in military-heavy zones, she laughed nervously and said, "Pure coincidence. We just go where help is needed." The real coincidence? The exact same day, the presidential security team uncovered a USB drive hidden in a fake lipstick tube in her bag. Inside the drive, satellite images, drone flight patterns, government convoy photos. The time for pretending was almost over. But President Traore didn't want her arrested in silence. He wanted the world to see it. So he sent her a polite invitation. "You are invited to speak at the National Conference on African Sovereignty as a guest of honor." She accepted, excited, confident, and completely unaware that she was walking into her own public exposure.
Ibrahim Traore, the people changing it. The streets of Ouaga, your name is loud. Ibrahim Traore, standing tall and proud. You carry the hope, you fight for the land. Ibrahim Traore, with a strong guiding hand. The winds of change are blowing strong. Ibrahim Traore, we've waited so long. With courage, with faith, you lead the fight. Ibrahim Traore, for freedom and right.
Thank you for watching. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing so you won't miss out any of our latest videos.
Son of the land.